Okie dokie. I'm going to call this May 18th meeting of the Las Vegas Clark County Library District Board of Trustees to order. Ms. Nance, could you call roll, please?
Vice Chair Wah,
Get present.
Trustee Benavidez, Trustee
Here.
Foyt,
Here.
Trustee Haran,
Here.
Trustee Melendrez,
Here.
Trustee Ortiz,
Present.
Trustee Rogers,
Present.
Trustee Whiteley,
Present.
Trustee Sanchez,
Present.
and we have a quorum, Chair.
Thank you. Everyone
Vice
rise.
Chair.
Thank you. If everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Ms. Nance, do we have anyone sign up for public comment?
No, we do not.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 3, board. Oh, come on down. And please make sure you state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Cyrus Oljati, and I wanted to talk about issues with recent events that's happening in our library campuses. There are many instances where, like I said, you're not giving reasons on why certain actions are being taken. We'd like to know. Me and my friend who's just coming in, there was a event from a town hall meeting, was marketed as a public town hall with 2-3 elected officials. They don't say if it's public or private, but once again, just like what happened, I think I've told you this last year from August of 2021, this incident happened on December of last year. We were just waiting in the hallway. We were told it was private. We didn't go in. I was waiting. I told my buddies not to talk to these people, let the event over, but my buddies continued to engage. I engaged with talking about things, just not that much about whether, the vaccines have worked because there were elected officials. And then the security told us we had to leave the building. They wouldn't give us reasons. We have it on film. But again, this is a public building. Okay, we just asking questions to elected officials is not a violation of any code. And then later on, they called the authorities and the marshals came in about half an hour. Now, of course, I wasn't escorted out of the property. I did manage to talk to elected officials. They ignored me while they were walking to their vehicles. I thought this matter was just not done appropriately. To me, it's like, for heaven's sakes, there has to be some responsibility on the other end. If it's a private event, you can please just say this is a private event, please RSVP, but we don't know. And my friend will show you what is exactly going on. This is very similar to what happened about a year and a half ago. How much time do I have? Excuse me.
You have about a minute left.
Minute left?
Yes.
So a year and a half ago, I've told you before, there was an incident where one of the board members I tried to contact, I can't remember his name, he refused to do anything. He refused to provide any examples. This is August of 2021. This was another town hall where you had 3 elected officials in the Clark County Library. The December incident happened in the Bonanza Library. And again, I was not kicked out of a so-called private event. The host of the event started yelling and creating tension, but the staff members were taking her side without even any investigation. Staff members, even law enforcement, were taking their side, and they nearly put me in a horrible situation. I have that on video too.
And we're at time, Mr. Cyrus. So thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
And this public comment period is just for items that are on this agenda for this meeting. And I apologize I didn't clarify that, but thank you for your
My
comments.
apologies. I'll wait. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comment for items on this agenda at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 3, board action to accept proposed agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
So moved.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. The motion passes. The agenda is accepted. Agenda item number 4, approval for proposed minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the special board meeting minutes of April 4th, the Finance Audit Committee minutes of April 12th, and the regular board meeting minutes of April 20th?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
I'd like to abstain only because I was not on the board at the time.
Okay, so we have 1 abstention. Agenda item number 5, Chair's report. So just a few items, but I'll begin by welcoming back Trustee Sanchez to the board. This is her first meeting with us. Do you have any words that you would like to share?
I just want to say thank you very much. I'm very excited to be a part of this board and I look forward to meeting all of you.
Thank you very much. We're very happy to have you re-engaged in this role. Second, as just by way of update for the consultant that we've been working with for the foundation and the trustee work group, they're beginning their work, and I believe their first step is going to be a conversation with Kelvin this Friday as a stakeholder, and then they'll be going through that process. And as we have updates, I'll make sure to share them with the board. And finally, it's that time of year. So I'm going to appoint the nominating committee for board elections. And I'm going to nominate myself, or I'm going to appoint myself, Trustee Foyt and Trustee Whiteley to the nominating committee. So that concludes the chair's report. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 6, library reports. Director Watson.
Should I say vice chair or chair? So I'll say chair. You're the chair right now. You're chair. All right, chair. My report was submitted, and I just have a couple of questions, well, a couple of comments to make. First, I want to say thanks to Chair Trustee Wah, Trustee Foyt, and Trustee Benavidez for attending the library at the Boulevard Mall ribbon cutting event. I know it was early, 7:30 in the morning. Always appreciate trustee support and hope that you all enjoyed coming and seeing our new library location. The library district, in partnership with Sunrise Hospital, has also decided that on June 26th, we're going to install the Anytime Library. The Anytime Library is very similar to what we did at the Boulevard Mall. Right now, it's being used and tested at the Windmill Library. So we're going to install it June 26th with a ribbon cutting coming sometime in mid-July. And I will certainly keep everyone abreast of the time and the date for that ribbon cutting. I also want to say thanks to the library district staff for their continued hard work and all that we are doing and continue to do, especially as we head into another summer challenge, which was launched this past Monday. And so I know that the team is putting a lot of work in. I'm seeing a lot of the events, and I'll be attending and visiting library locations over the next few weeks with the regional managers. So at this point, Chair Wah, I'll take any questions regarding my executive director's monthly report.
Are there any questions for Director Watson?
I did forget one thing. I'm sorry, if I can. For everyone, this is one of the awards that the library district has recently received. This is the 2023 Urban Libraries Council Innovations Award for our top innovator for anti-racism, digital equity, and inclusion. And so this is what the award is. And so I'll pass it around for everybody to see.
And before we turn it over to questions on all the other reports, I do want to bring Mr. Vino up to share an update on the West Las Vegas Library.
Good evening, everyone. John Vino, General Services Director. Obviously, I thought since we were at West Las Vegas, we should do a quick update on the new project. When we originally started this project, we had three objectives. One was to, build on the success of the East Las Vegas Library, specifically the good and the bad. We wanted to build a project that really represented a 21st century library, and we wanted a library that reflect the culture of the neighborhood as well as the historic West Side. So tonight I wanted to share with you not the nuts and bolts of what we're building, but the creative side, what we're trying to create, and it's the fun side. It's where we get to put, I think, the personality of the new library. So okay, so I just want to start. This is basically some of the interior stuff and some changes that we've made and some highlights of what we hope to accomplish. So the lobby was meant to be warm. The first go around, it had a lot of light colors. So we've worked with our design team, KMA and Moody Nolan, who is very creative and as you'll see, has really, I think, tapped into some of the personality that we'll be able to create here. In the lobby, I wanted to point out, well, we don't have a name for it, but this wall is going to be a centerpiece of the lobby. And what you see is very basic, inexpensive vinyl on standard light boxes that you would find in any sign shop. But what it allow us to do is create the centerpiece where if we wanted to highlight teachers, successful teachers within the neighborhood, we can highlight them. If Martin Luther King Day was coming along, we wanted to do a presentation on that history. If we wanted to highlight the civil rights movement, we could change it quarterly, we could change it monthly. And so I think this little caveat here, this little wall will be very useful, and we'll get a lot of changes, and I look forward to seeing that wall. We've created a balcony with a big banner that we can change, and we can highlight branding, we can highlight upcoming events, and it also adds, I think, to the presence within the lobby. As you walk into the library proper, we've created what we're calling a history wall. This wall is meant to reflect and will reflect the history of the West Las Vegas, historic West Las Vegas. Everything from Berkeley Square to the civil rights movement to busing issues, and Lisa Gibson from our West Las Vegas Library is working on as a team with, we're creating what this wall will actually include. We think it can include up to 60 articles. And I think it'll be a pretty significant part of the library as you walk in. We've created what you see here is as you walk in, we're trying to get that living room feel so people can feel comfortable, sit down. Our multimedia center is starting to come together. This is the one area we've kind of asked them to Vegasify a little bit. We envision this to be a little more bright, a little more, maybe some neon. Those will be working speakers. They probably have LED lighting behind them, so this will be a very visual wall as you walk into the library. We've finalized the breakdown. We're going from the one room at East Las Vegas, 500 square feet, to a suite of rooms, 7 rooms, almost 1,200 square feet for the multimedia area. Again, one of the primary focuses within the West Las Vegas Library. We have moved in preservation, digital memories preservation lab for the West Las Vegas Library. Within this space, a couple of things I just wanted to point out is one of the things we're looking forward to with Director McNally's group under gallery services, Darren Johnson, is to do an artwork program which we haven't done for openings at a lot of our branches. And we really think this is how we can represent the cultural diversity of the neighborhood. We'll be working with purchasing some signage, but I mean some prints, but also working with local artists to create new and fresh art that represents the West Side as well. Also, if you look at the bookend, something that we're working on is being able to identify historic figures that we want to highlight. And Director Leo Segura came up with the idea, instead of doing the whole wrap, and those are just vinyl wraps. So we'll be able to change these and highlight different authors and different historical figures as we go. We probably do a half wrap, and that will give us the opportunity to, at each of the end panels, highlight books, highlight DVDs, and even personal items that might represent who this individual was. So now it becomes more of just a centerpiece. It becomes a display for the district as we put up our bookshelves. As you start walking down, you see how we were able to create different pop outs for each of the different areas and highlight those so they stand out. It's just not one long wall of windows. As we walk into, you see our first real creation lab where we'll have all sorts of different activities. To highlight this, we've added a garage that can be open and closed. It was really important for us to give this feel of an industrial look, from the tables to the windows to the garage to the type of equipment we're going to have in here. We took inspiration from UNLV's economic development program at Blackfire. It's an area that accelerates innovation. And when we visited, one of the things we were really drawn to was these collaboration spaces where you didn't really need to reserve them, where you could just sit down and you could see the green. And we've created three of these within West Las Vegas. The teen zone. I really wanted to point out another area that we're working on is, you can see these mobile, I'll just call it a mobile for now, but again, it's books. It's meant to give a feel as you walk from the adult or the teen into the kids area, the YPL. So it's very important, as I'll point out here, to have the kids area feel like the kids area. So we're working on, and this is something we may do in-house. It's something that we might involve some of the kids. We could 3D print some of them. So the existing kids at our current location can be involved as we move forward to this new location. And along with the books are just items we're thinking that you can see in fairy tales. You know, it's pirate ships, it's balloons, zeppelins, airplanes, Harry Potter's flying keys, you know. So you'll walk underneath it, and we're hoping to develop this for that area. Our story time, we're moving forward. You can see one of the things that we wanted to create here was the feeling of not just plain walls. So we're working with a forest theme. And in the story room, we've added animals, and we've done the floor a little different. This is only one of the three themes. This is really a placeholder, but it's how we're trying to create the theme and how we're trying to create an area that we think the kids will appreciate. Seating area, one of the things that we've done is the front of the story time room open. So we're able to accommodate overflow crowds within the rest of the YPL. Our story times are one of the busiest areas that we have. We created a little story nook. One of the busier areas in the YPL are parents sitting with their children and reading books. We highlight that and create a little book nook. Another first for us would be a tween area, basically for kids that are between 9 and 12. We've also themed this to highlight the Tuskegee Airmen. One of the things that we do here that we wanted to carry over to this branch was that theme. And here you could see how that might take place within the tween zone. Second floor, one of the things that we are trying to develop is some AI. So you may, will have adult services staff on this floor. You'll see, I mean, we only represented here, we're working through having either a hologram, or you'll be able to walk up and actually interface for information for the library on this floor. Again, technology being a prime thing we're trying to create here. Again, this is our business incubator space that works on the second floor. Another item that we are pursuing within this library we don't have in our other libraries. As part of the business incubator hub, we will have a full boardroom consistent with what we did at East Vegas, with all the technology someone working in the business hub, I mean, the business incubator might need. So it'll have TV, it'll have Zoom capabilities as well. Another room we're trying to create is a quiet zone within this space. This will be our periodic areas where you'll be able to come sit down and read a magazine. This is an area we're trying to develop into our special collections, and we want that to be more than magazines. That back wall of shelves, we'd like to see actually just become curio cabinets, and we want pieces of the historic West Side. If we can get pieces from places like the Moulin Rouge and the other historic places that make up the history of the historic West Side, we really like to see that cataloged within this space, and that's something we're working on creating here and curating that. We've been, second floor has our computer lab. We'll be expanding up to 40 computers within this space. And then our courtyard. So we're still working on developing our courtyard here. You can see we're adding a full shade structure to the courtyard. You can see we've added open space. This would be the story time room, being able to come out and the kids, when the weather's right, being able to utilize the courtyard. 3 areas will have doors to the courtyard. The multi-purpose room or event center, as well as the innovation lab. Here, just you could see what it might look like at night. So just some of the not nuts and bolts, but some of the specialty items that we're working on for the library. I just wanted to share those briefly with everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Vino. Are there any questions for Mr. Vino? No? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Are there any other reports that anyone would like to pull forward?
Mr. Chair, if Mr. Leo Segura can come forward.
Leo Segura, Library Operations Director, for the record.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. I'm looking at your report for security report, page 51. First of all, our population has really continued to grow in the city of Las Vegas and Clark County exponentially. And of course, problems also come with that. Good news is the numbers of individuals that come to our facilities, our libraries, are pretty good. The bad news is we continue to have a huge increase in what we call incident reports. Some may be minor, some may be major, but I believe that the summer months are not going to treat us good. I believe the numbers are even going to go up, just the weather and everything else. I call that out not to point out that it's bad, to point out that Mr. Segura and his staff have done a remarkable job with the resources that they have to address the incidents in all our libraries. If you look at the numbers, it's pretty significant, but yet the amount of people that we have touched and addressed and dealt with is pretty good. So I wanted to thank you and congratulate you and your staff for the job well done that they have performed in addressing the issues that our community has when you have a lot of population with a lot of needs coming to our libraries. Thank you
Appreciate
very
that
much.
very much, and we'll definitely share that with staff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Ortiz. Are there any other reports or anyone would like to discuss? Okay, with that, I will accept the reports. We have no unfinished business. And we'll move on to agenda item number 8, new business. Sub B, public hearing on the Las Vegas Clark County Library District tentative budget for fiscal year 2023, 2024. And could I get a motion to convene the public hearing regarding the tentative budget?
So moved.
Is motion a second? Or is there a second?
Yes, second.
Motion a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I will convene the public hearing. Are there any? Nevada Revised Statute requires a public hearing on the tentative budget be held no sooner than the third Monday in May, nor later than the last day in May. On April 12th, the staff met with Finance and Audit Committee to review and comment on the staff's recommendation for preparation of the tentative budget for fiscal year 2023-2024. The tentative budget was filed on April 17th with the State Department of Taxation, and staff will present to the board on adjustments, if any, have been made to the tentative budget in preparation of the adoption of the final budget. Mr. Cabayas, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Trustee Sanchez, welcome. Staff is also glad to see you on the board again.
Thank you.
This presentation will likely look familiar. So Russell Cabayas, Chief Financial Officer. For the record, I will be presenting the proposed fiscal year 2024 budget for the library district. I'll start with total revenues, and I'll be making comparisons from the fiscal year 2024 budget to the prior year fiscal 2023 budget. Starting with the general fund, total revenues increased by $4 million or 4%. That's due to increases in property taxes and consolidated sales tax. For the gift fund and the grant fund, these budgets are set at a high enough level to be able to expend any amounts that are awarded, whether staff is aware of them or not at this point, and staff is seeking substantial amounts of gifts and grants in 2024. So these budgets have been increased accordingly. The capital projects fund and the debt service fund, very little activity for revenues here, so no budget changes. Total expenditures for the general fund is increasing by $11.7 million or 15%. That's primarily due to increases in salaries, wages, and benefits. The gift fund and grant fund, these expenditure budgets are set to match the revenues received because these expenditures are limited to the amounts actually received in a fiscal year. The capital projects fund is increasing by $22.6 million, and that's primarily due to expected construction of the West Las Vegas Library. Again, the debt service fund has very little activity. The district has no debt, so no budget changes here. I'll be going into more detail now about the general fund. Property tax revenues increased by $2.4 million or 4%. Property values are continuing to appreciate. The consolidated sales tax increased by $1.4 million or 5% because consumers are proving to be resilient and are continuing to spend through high inflation. Charges for services, miscellaneous revenue, and investment income. These total revenues fluctuate within a very consistent range, so no budget changes here, with the exception of investment income because investment interest rates are expected to remain high in the new fiscal year. If I could get some help changing my slide, looks like my clicker's not working here. Thank you. Expenditures for the general fund. Salaries is increasing by $5 million or 15%. That's made up of three components. First is the annual pay increases, including merit raises. Second are added positions, new positions meant to support the continuing demand of operations or provide additional services. And the third component is a potential adjustment in the pay scale. That's a recommendation from the consultants, Kaufman Associates, based on their compensation study. Services, I'm sorry, I overlooked benefits. That's increasing by $3.4 million or 24%. Benefits moves in tandem with salaries. So as new positions are added, so do benefits. As salaries and wages goes up, so do benefits. Another major component of the benefits increase is due to district contributions to the Public Employee Retirement System, or PERS. Contribution rates are set to increase by 4% effective July 1st. And Another increase is due to healthcare costs. Service and supplies expenditures are budgeted to increase by $1.5 million or 9%. That's primarily due to annual increases for contract renewals for services such as landscaping, janitorial, and security. The library materials budget is always calculated as 15% of total general fund expenditures. So that would be an increase of $1.7 million or 15%. And that's the amount that staff is deemed optimal for maintaining a relevant collection. Next slide, please. Thank you. The budget for ending fund balance is $12.9 million or 15% of total expenditures of the general fund. This represents the district's reserve, so it's important to the district's financial health. In 2020, staff increased the budget percentage from to 20%, and that was an amount that was considered a safe reserve because of economic uncertainty. In the current year, staff is decreasing that budget percentage from 20% to 15% because economic conditions have improved. And by lowering the percentage from 20 to 15%, it also allows for a greater transfer of funds from the general fund to the capital projects fund. And that's important to maintain sufficient balances in the various capital programs. If for any reason the general fund requires additional resources, the entire $60 million will not be transferred to the capital projects fund. And this is the approach that was taken in 2020 during those economic challenges. Next slide. Here's a summary of the capital projects fund budget listed by program. Starting at the top, we have the technology program, and next the building repair and maintenance program. These two programs are prioritized as far as transfers from the general fund goes because of their importance to the library operation. Starting in the left-hand column, we have the estimated ending fund balance as of 2023, June 30th, 2023. That represents the amount that's available at the beginning of fiscal year 2024. In the next column, you'll see the transfers budgeted from the general fund to the capital projects fund. When you take the transfers from the general fund along with that beginning balance, that represents the total amount of resources available for spending in fiscal year 2024. In the second to last column, you have the budgeted expenditures for fiscal year 2004. In the current year, 2024 budget, technology has budgeted $2.6 million. That's subtracted from the total available resources, leaves the ending fund balance of $6.9 million for that program. And that $6.9 million, along with this approximately $7 million in building repair and maintenance, represents 2 years worth of reserve for those programs. Those two programs average about $3.5 million in expenditures each year. And if transfers aren't available from the general fund to the capital projects fund, this reserve will allow the district to maintain technology and building facilities. And again, this is the approach that was used at the beginning of 2020 going into subsequent fiscal years. Next, we have the vehicle purchase and replacement program. You'll see that no transfers are budgeted for this program because the program already has sufficient resources to meet short-term needs. The library materials capital program, this is intended to purchase a starting collection for new libraries. Up until now, the program had no balances because now we are preparing for a new library. We have budgeted a transfer of $1 million to purchase a starting collection. Once that amount is exhausted, this program won't be replenished again until another new library is planned. The financial services, community engagement, and furniture purchase and replacement program all also do not have a budgeted transfer because these programs also have sufficient resources to meet short-term needs. The furniture purchase and replacement program speaks for itself. The financial services capital program is used to purchase capital equipment across the district, for example, public copiers, staff copiers, and cash registers. The community engagement / programming and venues services program primarily purchases capital equipment for the district's venues. And finally, the capital construction program. Once the two critical programs, technology and facilities, have been replenished, the district began allocating all additional resources available in the general fund to the capital construction program in preparation for the new West Las Vegas Library. So you see at the end of fiscal year 2023, the budget expects to have $34.9 million available going into 2024. Another $9.5 million is budgeted to go to this program, along with another $150,000 in investment income. So in total, that represents almost $45 million in available resources that can be spent on the construction project. The budget for fiscal year 2024 for capital construction is $25 million. All of this is budgeted for the new West Las Vegas Library project. And that $25 million is a conservative amount. The district may not spend all $25 million, but that amount is budgeted to allow the district to spend up to that amount, depending on the timing and pace of construction of the West Las Vegas Library. Any amount of that $25 million not spent will roll over into the subsequent fiscal year. So that would be added to the $19.5 million you see in the last column under budgeted ending fund balance. And those amounts will be available in fiscal year 2025 to complete construction of the West Las Vegas Library. It is exciting to see the growth that the district is experiencing, and I'm happy to present a budget that supports that growth. So that's the 2024 proposed budget for the Las Vegas Cloud County Library District, and staff is recommending adoption of the budget as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Caballas. As this is a public hearing, are there any members of the public who would wish to speak on the budget at this time? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I do have a comment.
Do you want to save it for our discussion
Okay.
on the budget? So I'll close the public hearing and I will open agenda item number 2. Discussion and possible board action to adopt the Las Vegas Clark County Library District final budget for fiscal year 2023-2024. Mr. Ortiz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, thank you very much for presenting the budget to be submitted to Carson City.
Excuse me, trustee, we need a motion to close that public meeting.
I will move to close the public hearing. Felipe Ortiz.
This motion is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, no. The hearing's closed. Mr. Ortiz.
Thank you, Jerry. We're here because prior boards really took the time to look at the economic factors. What am I trying to say? The capital reserves budget, when I got on here in 2013, was very low. I pushed the board, and the board at that time went up to 13%, 15%, 20%. And the reason is because every 5 years, catastrophe hits. There's a war, there's an economy. And so I want the public to recognize that the reason there's money in there is not because there's money in there, because we're expecting the next downfall or downgrade in economy. Here, by going from 20% capital reserves to 15%, we're able to pay for the West Las Vegas Library. Let me say it again in a different fashion. We're going to pay for the West Las Vegas Library in cash and have zero debt. Very few public entities around the state can tell you that. I'm very proud to be on this board because that's what we've strived for. In a couple of years or a year and a half, I'll come back that we moved that back up to 20%. Because just like COVID, we were ready for that and we didn't have to lay off any employees. We paid them. Prior to that, it was the housing bubble. Prior to that was 9/11. Prior to that, take your pick. There's lots of things that happen about every 5 years. It's just beyond our control. So the point being is this board and the prior boards have taken the time to make sure that every penny that comes through here is accounted for, that we watch it, that we're transparent, and that we make sure that we meet the goals of the district and that the public is served by building new libraries. With that, I am very happy to see the budget. Very happy, Director Watson, for directing that, and our CFO, Flabresto, for putting that forward. It's a lot of numbers, but that at the end of the day, that's what it means. We've taken the time to set aside money in case of an emergency. We didn't have to use that emergency, but now we're going to use it for the West Las Vegas Library. So thank you again. I am in support of this budget.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Ortiz. Are there any other questions or comments?
I don't have a question, but just a comment to make, which is, the foundation for the library district also helps in these efforts by providing the resources as sponsoring new market tax credits. And so that is very valuable. It's worth $6 million towards the construction of a library. And I happen to know that the Library Foundation just recently approved the law firm and the auditing committee for those new market tax credits. So I just wanted to say that so that way the public knows that this is definitely a collaboration between the two organizations.
Thank you, Trustee Sanchez, for celebrating that collaboration. Are there any other questions or comments? Chair Rogers, Trustee Rogers?
I didn't have a comment.
Okay. Anyone on Zoom, any questions or comments for Mr. Tobias? If there are none, then I would entertain a motion.
I motion to convene the public hearing regarding,
Next time.
Oh.
Next page.
I motion to adopt the final Las Vegas Clark County Library District's fiscal year 2023-2024 budget, subject to any modifications as directed by trustees, and instruct staff to adjust estimated fiscal year 2023-2024 revenues in accordance with final estimates from the Department of Taxation, provided such estimates are received in sufficient time for staff to make adjustments by June 1st, 2023 filing date.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Trustee Sanchez. All those in favor, please, did you have?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Chair.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no.
Aye.
Mr. Tobias, did you have any closing thoughts?
Yes, I wanted to let the trustees attending today know that you'll be receiving an email from Luann Salmons with a DocuSign to approve the budget. That should be by Monday.
Thank you, sir. And with that, we'll close agenda item number 2. Moving on to number 9, announcements. The nominating committee will meet on Thursday, June 1st at 4:30 p.m. at the Clark County Library. The June board meeting will be held Thursday, June 1st at 5 p.m. also at the Clark County Library. Our July board meeting will be held on Thursday, July 13th, the day before Bastille Day, for those who celebrate, at 5 p.m. at the Rainbow Library. We'll be taking our August recess. So Trustee Watson can go on vacation at least once. And then our September board meeting will be held September 14th at the Windmill Library. At this time, I'll open the second period for public comment. Please keep in mind you have 3 minutes. Are there any people who wish to speak on public comment? And please make sure you state your name and address for the record,
Residential address?
whichever address you would like to give us.
Okay. Alex Rodriguez, Rodraguez, it's spelled, 39987 Tapao Drive, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89103. Yeah, I just wanted to speak, same thing about, just wanted to be clear on some policies here at the library. It was about December 15th. We saw an event and to talk to some elected officials, and it wasn't advertised whether it was open to the public or privately paid. If it was going to be private, they want to charge $5, no problem. I'll pay the $5, get in, but there was nothing on there. And we walked up and obviously we were told we're not allowed in there. And this is obviously a facility that we're using taxes for. And from my understanding, if they're using taxes, a tax dollared facility, then they should allow the whole public in, or at least just disclose, hey, you got to put an RSVP up there. And so there was a couple of us that showed up, and there was somebody else who was a friend of ours. I don't think they knew that was our friend. They allowed her in the meeting, but they did not allow us in there. And I got a video about all the evidence and stuff. I can email that to one of you guys, and because the video is about 13 minutes long. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Yeah, if you have anything you would like to submit, you can submit it to the board comments at lvccld.org.
Okay, thank you.
Send it over there. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. CYRUS HOJJATY. of 4007 Nook Way, 89103. So out of those, I'd like to ditto his comments. And just like that event last December and July of 2021, which I've told you, or August of 2021, about the town hall meeting with race and all these elected officials, both of them had them. I wasn't even given any warnings, as far as I know. As for, especially in the second event, they just told us we had to go. They weren't telling us, is everything okay? Nothing was given. And I believe that some of these library directors are not handling this properly. I don't feel that these are public libraries. Public libraries should be welcoming of the First Amendment. The things that come out of my mouth, it may not be pleasant, it may sound too extreme, but it is the First Amendment. And if it's in a public event, it's anybody's responsibility to say, listen, I wish not to continue this conversation, or you can debunk them, or look, we're the convention capital meeting space of the world. You can have an event there. I do believe that people like Kyle Rittenhouse, regardless of whether you agree their opinions or not, they should have their voice coming into play. Now, speaking of the August 2021 incident regarding the organization No Racism 1865, as I told you about this last year, they had a gathering in front of the school district regarding a police officer incident that dragged a student down to the ground. And they claimed that that was motivated by racism. I just went there. I have it on film too. I just wanted to see what was going on. I didn't say anything. And an army of them stormed me, and they were going to physically threaten me. That was the same woman who raised her voice in the August of 2021 incident. Meanwhile, the library staff and the officers at that day didn't do anything, didn't say anything to her, and they didn't do anything to her a few months ago regarding the mass protests that took place in the Clark County School District. I feel that there's double standards. I feel that you are picking and choosing. Yeah. What is this all about? I mean, if there's something that we're doing wrong, and I've emailed library staff, provide us examples. You guys don't. If you want to prove that an incident occurred, some funds were stolen, you have to show proof. So where is the proof? We're willing to work with you. We're willing to move on and learn and go on with the future. And regarding this meeting today, and I think it was done very well.
And Mr. Cyrus, you have 1 minute left.
Thank you. A lot of things are relatively centralized. And this is where I think the problem of the whole Las Vegas Valley is. One county, only 3 library districts, 3 city governments, 1 sheriff, 1 school district. This area has grown so much. And I think that in an area about 2.5 million people, where 3/4 of the people live in this state live in 1 county, I think we have to start considering decentralizing everything, because this is just not
Mr. Cyrus, I'm
working.
gonna let you finish your thought, but you're at time.
Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate, we look at these incidents, and please make it a welcoming environment for everybody's opinions, okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public who wish to comment at this time? Seeing none, I will close public comment and I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
no. We are adjourned. Thank you.